We finally have Wave 2 of the Mario Kart DLC. Can you believe it, Triss? It's finally almost here.
Finally. It took way too long, honestly.
It was getting to the point where I'm like, are they actually going to ever release this thing? Like, they have to at some point, right? Finally, almost near the end of the month, they finally show off a trailer and give us a release date of what? August 2nd?
August 4th.
August 4th. Okay.
Yep.
Good.
Next Thursday.
Because a few more days to relax before the onslaught of coverage. Although today's already been a bit intense. I woke up at 6 a.m., saw they released the trailer. I'm like, no. Immediately hopped into analysis mode to cover the brand new track being Sky High Sunday. And that was a surprise because I was not expecting to have an entirely new track here. I say entirely new because apparently it's been teased for Tour, which makes sense. I feel like everything's going to cross over with Tour at some point. But before we get too deep into things, Triss, well, first off, chat. Hope you're all doing well. Hope you're all as excited as we are for the Wave 2 being announced. And feel free to ask us questions as we go through this. You know, our thoughts and whatever else. But Triss, I want to start off with you. What are you thinking overall about Wave 2? Are you excited for it? Are you disappointed? Is it everything you hoped it would be? What are you kind of thinking here?
I mean, I'm definitely excited. I mean, as I say every time, the fact that we're getting more courses for Mario Kart 8, I'm by default going to be some baseline level of excited for
exactly,
it.
Right.
But there's some really good picks here, too. I mean, the Wii's classic Mushroom Gorge is here, DS's iconic Waluigi Pinball, a brand new course that looks really fun, honestly. There's some good picks here, honestly. And it's really nice to see that it's still going strong. You know, this isn't a pack of 8 Toad circuits.
Thank God. I mean, it's a pack of 0 Toad circuits. That's a huge win in my book.
Yes.
But you're kind of touching on something there. I don't think there's a track here that stands out for being lesser than the others, from what I can tell.
Mm-hmm.
I fully take that back. I actually totally take that back. Because I will say Mario Circuit 3 actually felt a little lame to me. But that aside, I think everything else here looks like a killer. There's almost all killer, one filler, and I think it looks great. So what's your favorite track though that we have here of the bunch?
I mean, Sky High Sunday looks impressive, and it gives me that same initial impression that Ninja Hideaway gave me back in Torin when it was part of Wave 1, where it's that impressive chorus that's exceeding our expectations, that just looks like it's gonna make for a really fun, challenging course.
Yeah, I like it. For one, again, it was a surprise, and that they focused so much attention on it too. Like Nintendo actually, I've seen like the trailer was kind of unbalanced in that not every track gets equal mention, and it's like Nintendo kind of knew what to lean into. You know, Sky High Sunday, Mushroom Gorge got a fair amount of focus, I think. They know what's up, I think, with a lot of these tracks. But yeah, that was a really nice one to see. Something new. We did kind of suspect it based on the data mined image, because we did see you could kind of barely make out a dessert or something, or ice cream, I think. So we had a feeling something was coming, but it's awesome that it's launching with 8 rather than in Tour. So that's nice. That'll be our first exposure to it. This is really, I think, our first entirely new track for 8 that we've ever had, right? Since the initial DLC.
Yeah, in a good, like, let's say that was like 2015, a good 7 years now.
Yeah.
This is the first time we have a course debuting in Mario Kart 8. Almost there with Ninja Hideaway, off by a year. But right. I love the little watermark in the corner of the video that the Sky High Sunday will be added to Mario Kart Tour in a future update. So you know it's still some level of carryover.
So they explicitly confirmed that. Okay.
Yeah, it's literally in the video in the bottom corner when they're showing Sky High Sunday. This will be added to Tour at a later date.
So I will say, just like looking at this overall, though, I was just happy to see, like, I didn't think I would be that happy to see some of those returning tracks, though. For me, I think the standouts were N64 Calamari Desert. That one's a classic. I think that might be one of the more visually impressive tracks of this collection we're seeing here.
Yeah.
It doesn't look like it's being held too much back by being, I assume, based on the Tour version. Like, the lighting looks really nice. I love that. I forget if I've played much of Tour, but did they shorten the I feel like they shortened the train in one of the versions, maybe a 3DS. We got the full-length train here, it looks like, which excites me. You can go on the railroad track, as I think you can in Tour. There's item boxes now also along it. I don't know if that was the case as well before, Triss. But yeah, I'm loving that.
To give a little bit of context there, in Mario Kart Tour, I forget when they introduced it, but
a while back. At launch. It was at launch.
The normal version was there at launch, and then like a year or two ago, they added N64 Calamari Desert 2.
What?
And the 2 version, instead of just one big loop around everything, you're, I want to say, at the halfway point of the lap, you actually go on the train tracks, and then go in the tunnel and loop all the way around, and then go back out. So it like doubled the length of the track, and it's a really interesting spin on the course that it looks like they're doing here. So it might just be something kind of like how they handled the tour courses in Wave 1. It might be something that changes depending on the lap. Mm-hmm. So rather than, you know, lap 1, lap 2, lap 3 all following this route, a specific lap might bring you inside the tunnel. Which, either way, it's really nice to see that they're bringing the changes to even these classic courses there. And come on, who didn't try going into the tunnel on time trials back in the day? Anyway,
no, one of my favorite things to do was explore Mario Kart tracks. I actually have some ideas I want to explore more of that. But yeah, I used to like just drive around taking the scenery, and I love the fact that in Mario Kart 64 in particular, let you go basically wherever you wanted. You could go to the Peach's Castle and Royal Raceway. You could go through the tunnels and follow the train around if you wanted Calamari Desert. You could drive out like way out in the desert without like hitting a wall or barrier. It was great, although Calamari Desert did have, like, there was a glitch shortcut you could use. If you activated a star in N64, you could trigger the lap marker without even going by it. So that was kind of a fun little thing too. But I love that they actually updated the track for the 2 version, Triss. I like that they incorporated the train track more elegantly into the actual design. That sounds fun. So I'm all aboard for that. So to speak. I'm excited to see like what the tweaks they may have made to this version, especially with this being 3 laps, as you said, instead of 2. Yeah. So, all right. So that was probably my overall highlight, my top one, I should say, besides Sky High Sunday, perhaps. But Wii Mushroom Gorge, also a big fan of that track. Love seeing that back, especially like with some of the updates we're seeing here. And I don't know again how much they lifted from Tour, if not the entire thing, but it just looked good. It's just nice to have that one back. It's just such a fun, bouncy chorus.
It definitely looks closer to like what the original Wii version of the course was, with the addition of the blue mushroom that'll send you gliding through the cave section.
Right.
So it's like a good mix of the two, which is nice.
That is good. I appreciate that. And then also, Triss, how can we not mention DS Waluigi Pinball?
Been waiting for. I was surprised that wasn't your one highlight that you brought up immediately.
To be honest, it's been a long day. I just totally overlooked it. I've only had time to watch the trailer a couple of times so far. No, that's gotta be. That's probably my number 2. I think. Ignoring Sky Sunday, I don't know where I'm putting that one yet. But Instant Calamari Desert, just for the nostalgia factor. Then Waluigi Pinball right behind it.
Yeah, getting Waluigi Pinball is really exciting. Even if the music isn't remixed, which I'm sure we'll talk about that in a moment. It's nice to have this course and all of its bright lights and getting the chaos of this course in a console Mario Kart finally, which we have not actually had ever before.
That's absurd.
It has only ever been in the handheld ones.
It should be in every Mario Kart. It's just one of those tracks that should always be there. I don't care how, just make it happen. But this is gonna be a fun one, I think. Although, what's surprised to see, unless you know anything, Triss, I don't think I saw any anti-gravity sections, which I thought they might, which we had discussed earlier that they might do for this, but no.
I didn't notice any, no. And we know they can. I mean, Sky High Sunday is all anti-gravity, looks like.
Yep.
So it is a little surprising they didn't add any anti-grav anywhere in Waluigi Pinball. It's a course that I would think you can easily add some into, but, I mean, that's okay. It just would have been nice.
Do we see any other anti-gravity at all in the trailer beyond Sky High Sunday?
Not that I recall.
Okay.
Not that I recall.
This is interesting, because one of our concerns before was, are they not going to do any more anti-gravity? Because one tour didn't support it, and all the returning tracks, obviously, outside of 8, wouldn't have it either, because the mechanic didn't exist. So here we are with a brand new track, full-on anti-gravity, so that might help make up for some of the others potentially not supporting it from what we're seeing here. But the real interesting thing of that, Triss, is the fact that, is the tour version going to be anti-gravity? Are they bringing anti-gravity to tour?
It's possible, but it would be so weird being only in the one course, and probably in no other courses. So it actually wouldn't surprise me if it differs from the tour version, in the sense of the tour version has less sloped angles and it's not anti-grav.
Right.
So they debuted it in Mario Kart 8 first, so it looks more impressive.
That could be, but it does seem like some of the, especially in the when you're doing the loop around the Sunday, like that feels like that almost has to be anti-gravity. I mean,
Yeah.
so that's I'll be curious to see how they adapt that, if they adapt it, or if Nintendo's looking super long term and they're like, hey, 10 years from now, Mario Kart Tour is going to have Mario Kart 8 tracks in it. So never know.
Oh man, wow, that is long term.
Yeah, I mean it is, right? But we're already looking at a relatively long term plan anyway with 8. So who knows with Nintendo? I wanted to start just read some comments real quick, even if it means we're hopping around a lot. But Killer Sepe 44 says everything looks so much better compared to Wave 1, but Sydney Sprint still has a basic green monotexture grass. I noticed that right away. I had the exact same reaction. I'm like, oh, this actually looks pretty good. Like this looks, I think, better than Wave 1 did. Then Sydney Sprint hits. It's like, ooh, there's that tour, those tour graphics we know and not really love.
Yeah, it's a little interesting how varied it seems, and it does make me wonder. We did see from the announcement of Wave 1 to release of Wave 1, there were graphical updates. So it's possible. For example, Mushroom Gorge doesn't seem to have its music remixed.
Right.
Sydney Sprint seems to have not quite as good textures as others. Maybe some of the footage we have here is earlier. I mean, we know they didn't finish this trailer 3 hours before uploading it. So we know, well, ideally they didn't. So there's probably more time being put into actually finishing the updates to the whole game with all these courses before it actually comes out. So there might still be some level of update compared to what we see in the trailer, but probably not as much as Wave 1.
Yeah, I think maybe my biggest issue, if you want to call it that, and I'm mostly over it, is just the somewhat inconsistency with the level of visual fidelity, where some tracks look amazing, others are clearly just largely ports of what was in Tour, and they do stand out. I will say it doesn't bother me as much as I feared it might, like when playing through the Wave 1 tracks, where the game just inherently looks so good that even the kind of mediocre looking tracks still manage to look decent, you know? But they do stand out when looking side by side with another like custom or custom made track for 8.
Yeah.
We have a super chat here from Paul Gale Nelwork for $2. Thank you, Paul Gale, who says all anti-gravity tracks are reserved for Star Fox Wave 6. Hey, I'm down. If that's how they want to do it, let's do it. Then I had another super chat, or not, sorry, just a chat from Shadow Greninja, who says, will DK Mountain come back? What do you think? So before we get to the rest of the tracks, I will say the lack of Double Dash did not escape me. Where are the Double Dash tracks? Were they yet? DK Mountain 2, like that's a killer track. Nintendo's gotta know they're sitting on a gold mine of that one. Maybe that's it. They're holding off on that one. So,
I mean, there's 4 more ways after this one where there could always be there could always be more Double Dash tracks in there.
Because I guess this one does have a very eclectic mix. Outside of Tour, I think every game is represented, or each game is only represented once. Is that correct? I believe.
Yeah, I believe so far. Well, in this specific wave.
In this wave,
yes.
I mean.
Yeah.
So it's only Tour with Sydney Sprint, Sydney Sprint and New York Minute both being here. I do think New York Minute might hold up a little bit better than Sydney Sprint. Or maybe just based on its visual style, like, you know, it's darker, it's got all the lighting stuff going on, so I think that holds up kind of well. It feels just inherently more stylistic, I think, than Sydney does, even though it's also very highly stylized. But GBA Snowland, Triss, what do you think of that?
I'm very surprised about that, actually, because Mario Kart Tour has, oh gosh, what is it? They have SNES Vanilla Lake 1 and 2, and remix versions of 1 and 2. So they're completely like changed up and more obstacles and making it wild. So I thought for sure Vanilla Lake, if we got any winter themed course from a 2D Mario Kart, it was going to be one of those. But Snowland looks really good, actually. It reminds me a lot of the DS, I think DK Pass, where it's like the DS. DK has too many snow courses at this point.
He
but
does.
One of DK's snowy courses where you're kind of winding around the mountain the whole time, and then going through it. Yeah, it kind of reminds me of that mixed with Vanilla Lake with the way it looks now. Because I mean, I did the footage for the graphics comparison. Snowland used to be really boring. It looks fun now. Yeah,
that's a great point. I mean, you look at it, and it almost doesn't look like an update of a 2D stage, and that's why I love. That's why I think Super NES Mario Circuit 3 really stands out by comparison in a negative way, but that one's completely flat. They did nothing to update the elevation of that track, whereas they really went and did a lot for Snowland, and not just the elevation, but just the design and the graphics. Like, I love how they stylize a start too, like with the, I think it's like a white brick thing they're using for the starting line. That looks great. That all looks awesome. So I don't know what's going on with this SNES Mario Circuit 3 and why they even chose that one. I would maybe gone with is it Mario Circuit 1 or I think 2 maybe? Whatever ends the first cup of Super NES Mario Circuit where you got to jump over the track at least. That'll be more interesting. Yeah, that'll be fun. So I don't know. Maybe it'll be fine in motion or, I mean, in gameplay. But yeah, Snowland, that looks great. That looks fun. So
I mean, when you look at the two together, I mean, in almost every Mario Kart game, whenever they bring back an SNES course, there's never that many, and it almost always feels like a legacy course. Like they kept it true to the original for fans of the original Mario Kart. But I love that ever since, I mean, the original Mario Kart 8, and they continued it with Tour, and now with the Booster Course Pass, when we get GBA courses, they are updated. They are not flat anymore. And that's not just the original DLC with Ribbon Road and Cheeseland, but like Sky Garden, Last Wave was another example of that. And seeing Snowland here just continues that. It's not as drastic as those three, but it definitely has a lot more personality to it now, and it's really nice to see.
Yeah, I think you're kind of touching on something there, but I think one of the things the GBA game did, and also 64 before it, but the SNES game didn't, is that I think every track in the GBA game is unique. Isn't that the right? Like, you don't have Mario Circuit 1, 2, 3, 4, etc. So that might be why they're going for the more generic look for the SNES games, although I wish they would still at least, like, you can still keep it true to the original while making it look better than it does here. Like, they added a couple of flagpoles and called it a day, you know, so yeah.
I mean, well, the GBA does have a bunch of Bowser castles, but other than that.
Good point. Let's see. We haven't touched on the tour tracks too much yet. The tour specific tracks being Sydney Sprint a little bit and Tour New York Minute. You're obviously more experienced with these tracks than I am. So what are your kind of expectations going into Mario Kart 8 for these? Because one of my favorite things actually about the tour tracks that they already brought over is that they changed how they work. They really embraced the 3-lap idea and kind of turned these tracks in their heads a little bit. So what are you kind of expecting of these two new tracks in 8?
So I'm really hoping New York Minute I'm hoping this is the most interesting iteration of it. Yeah. Because New York Minute was the first course of Mario Kart Tour, and it showed. It showed that it was the first course. It's one of those, like, you look back on it, and it doesn't hold up as well to later city courses. Like New York Minute 1 and 2. 3 and 4 were a little bit better with some more variety to it, but it was still a case of New York Minute as a whole felt early compared to the others. Seeing it in 8 already looks better. Good. And I'm really hoping we get some level of changing it around like we mentioned with Tokyo and Paris, where each lap you go a different route and really extend the length of the track. Mm-hmm. I think that would make it a lot of fun and really interesting.
I remember feeling very short originally.
It was really short.
Yeah, and what I like about this is if we're not going to get a new Donk City course, at least we have New York Minute, which is basically the same thing. So, but yeah, it'll be fun to see how they update that one. Given everything they've learned since the track's creation. But what about Sydney Sprint then? 'Cause that's a more recent track.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
So Sydney Sprint, both versions of it originally debuted, I think, last year in 2021, and then they haven't come back since. So it's nice getting to see them again because it's been a while. But one thing that I noticed that actually really interests me is there's a clip in the trailer where they're on like the bridge and you kind of see the train going nearby, and there's all these ramps in the middle. Those are from the trick version, and it makes me, and I find that really interesting because it means they're not just going off of the 1, 2, 3, 4, however many numbers of a course there are. They're not just going off of those variants. They're keeping in mind what they do with the reverse versions, the trick variants. We kind of got a hint of that with Paris incorporating the whole reverse section. Yep. So I'm thinking maybe this means Sydney's going to have a bunch of trick sections to it as well, which should make the pacing to it pretty fun, because as nice as Sydney is, because I do think it's actually a pretty good course, it does have a bit of some long sections of nothing really going on. Like that bridge normally, without those jumps there, it's just a straightaway where there's some toads throwing coins onto the middle of the bridge. It's not that much going on. This adds a lot more to it.
I could be mistaken, but I think that is one of the courses I covered for Tour in our coverage of it. Is it? Yeah, and the fact that not a whole lot of it stands out to me, if that is right, I think says a lot. So I do hope that they do kind of spice it up a little bit here, and adding the trick variants might be, or the trick elements might be a good way of going about that. So. We had a comment from, oh, hold on, Jake says, Sydney Sprint music shout out, our very own Jake, shouting out.
It's a good song.
It's a good,
and
nice.
I'm really happy they've been remixing the music for all of the updated, well, I say all, now it may not be all, but most of the updated courses for the DLC.
Yeah, that is great. The Dark Orange asks, will you all do an analysis on the other tracks? So yeah, we already posted our analysis, our full in-depth analysis of the new Sky High Sunday. That name is not sticking yet. Sky High Sunday. We're not going to do an in-depth analysis of each one individually, just because there's not that much to say about them, not nearly as much. However, we are doing a changes video where we're going to look at some early changes we've noticed already, and then of course once the tracks actually come out, we'll have something even more in-depth covering everything that they changed from the previous installments. So some of the things we're speculating about right now, like for the tour tracks, we'll see if that comes to fruition or not, and we'll report on it. So it should be fun.
Yep. It'll be pretty great.
Is there any? Let's see. What have we? Yeah, I guess we touched on every track now at this point. So how do you think this stacks up to Wave 1, Tris? Like, do you think this is better overall than Wave 1, based on what we've seen so far, of course? I know it's a little bit hard to go back to Wave 1 before we fully knew how everything was playing, obviously. But
yeah. Well, Wave 1 had more courses I had more attachment to, personally. So, personally, I'm more partial to Wave 1 still, but that doesn't take away anything from Wave 2, because I really enjoy a lot of what I'm seeing here. I mean, N64 Calamari Desert is iconic. Waluigi Pinball is always really fun. The new course looks really great. So I'm definitely still really excited about this, and I think it's good that it's. I almost feel like if this was Wave 1, it wouldn't have been as positively received as it is right now. Because I will say it has been almost like majority positive reception I've been seeing online today, which is fantastic.
So,
I don't think that would have been the case with this Wave 1.
I'm a little confused then. So wait, you think this would have been received less well had this been Wave 1?
Yeah, I think Wave 1 has some more iconic courses to it that set people's expectations for the whole Booster Course Pass, like Ninja Hideaway and the big change to Sky Garden and Choco Mountain and how they changed Paris and Tokyo, and of course Coconut Mall.
Okay.
I think if Wave 1 was this with the SNES Mario Circuit and some tracks with not remixed music or reusing music, I think it would have lowered people's expectations for the whole thing.
Interesting.
If that makes sense.
It could be. No, it's hard to gauge how much the timing.
It's hard to gauge.
I am seeing right now a lot of support, as you mentioned, kind of yourself, online. A lot of people in the chat seem to be pretty big on this Wave 2. Jordan says, I think this is way better than Wave 1. We had someone else saying, I think this looks better as well. I don't have the exact quote here, I lost it. But yeah, it seemed like a lot of people are excited for it. I have to say myself, I think, just purely based on the track selection, this personally interests me more. Because for one, we have the brand new track, Skyway Sunday. Sky High Sunday. I'm gonna commit that to memory. Sky High Sunday. Then we had N64 Calamari Desert, which I think stands you put that up against Choco Mountain, Choco Mountain. I think that wins in a landslide. Come on, despite Choco Mountain literally having a landslide, basically with the dropping boulders. Wii Mushroom Gorge, another classic. DS Waluigi Pinball, and then you add on top of that the complete revamp of GBA Snowland. I think that's a really solid lineup, even if SNES Mario Circuit 3 just kind of drag it down a bunch. Because I do think, to your point, Tris, had this been announced as Wave 1, I think SNES Mario Circuit 3 would have been dragged through the mud. But now that people know what to kind of expect from these, I think it's been more overlooked because everything else does look fun, and we've kind of had some expectations going in as to what to expect from these new tracks.
Yeah. And I think Toad Circuit did that in Wave 1 anyway. But a good point to this, though, is the time of announcement to release, I think, is much better this time around. Because I think Wave 1 was difficult because we had a whole month and then some. And that was filled with people nitpicking and lowering their expectations and being disappointed because the trailer didn't look as good as the base game. And then, it then released and it was better, not quite where they wanted it to be, but better. And now with Wave 2 only being a week out, it looks better and closer to what it'll be like at release than Wave 1 did.
Yeah, that's all true. I mean, I think it is nice that we don't have long to wait for this. So,
Yes.
And we finally can get people to stop asking on every tweet, to Nintendo, like, where's Wave 2? Although I'm sure it'll be like 3 days from now when people are asking for Wave 3 already. I actually got ahead of everyone on that. I'm like, wait, where's Wave 3 on Twitter? Totally joking. Let's see here. Astromotive had said earlier, the Sydney Sprint does in fact go in reverse during some segments in the trailer.
Oh, nice. There we
So,
go.
Yeah, we should mention that, or we should make sure to note that for our breakdown of what's changed. So that's awesome. That's good. So that could definitely make it more interesting. Mankalore, the popular Mario Kart YouTuber, is here. Says, "Yo, where's Wave 4? They're getting way ahead of the game here. Skipping Wave 3. We're going right to Wave 4." But,
That would actually be really funny if they skipped around in waves.
That'd be
based on
hilarious.
what was
I would
ready.
love that. Here's Wave 8. Here's Wave 8. We're going back to Wave 3 after. That'd be amazing. And I know I probably mispronounced your name. I know you told me before. I'm so sorry for that. I'm terrible with names in general. But yeah, so I guess what's the first track you're assuming you have a choice, Tris? What's the first track you want to try of this collection?
As much as I want to try Sky High Sunday, I actually really want to go to New York Minute first and just see, does it feel better than it did right away in Tour? And I hope so. As a New Yorker, I hope so.
That's a good point, right? You will know if anything's off or not by it. You and Jake, you guys got the inside track there, so to speak, on how accurate the New York track is. Yeah, that'll be fun. I gotta go back to the classic for me. I'm going to Calamari Desert, baby. I want to see how that looks, how it plays. I'm so excited for that one. That'll probably be the first track if I have a choice to try. Even though I do want to obviously give Sky High Sunday a shot, I feel like, I mean, it also just has a little bit of a generic look to it, like with just everything floating in the sky. Maybe not generic. Generic's not the right word. A little bit more of a, I don't know, just a little bit more of a simple look, I should say, to it. Even though I am excited by how it might play. So
it doesn't look like it'll immediately be regarded as a Mario Kart classic.
That might be a good way of putting it. Even though it could possibly, become one if it plays well enough, right? I do like, we haven't dove too in depth into that, but if you, I want to now that I've done the full analysis. If you missed our analysis, go watch it. We basically found the entire track design, like telling you exactly what segments you'll be going through in which order. But I really like some of the details there. Like I love the fact that you start the starting area, which is in a ice cream parlor. It's inside a fridge. You're inside a giant refrigerator. I love that. And the detail of how like there's an ice tray and that's where the frozen platforms came from. It just all like ties together well, even if it feels a little random. I think that's really cool. But so to speak. And what else? I had a ton of puns in the analysis, by the way. Apologies for that. But I think one of the things I like too is all the different routes and layers to it. Because the track, like, not only does it split into two at one point, but then it splits vertically on top of that as well. So you basically have 4 routes at once. And that seems fun before it all conjoins back together for the final loop around the Sunday before the final lap. Or before the second lap. Yeah.
That's impressive.
It is. It's kind of neat. It's a neat little thing. But yeah, and it being all anti-gravity, have we had... Remember, I guess we've only had a handful of other fully anti-gravity tracks, right? Like Rainbow Road 64.
Rainbow Road 64 isn't actually.
Oh, it isn't. That's right.
No, there's only 3 other courses that are only anti-grav, and they're all DLC courses. It was Mute City, Big Blue, and Baby Park.
Wait, even the new Rainbow Road wasn't.
Yep.
Wow.
Only at certain points.
That's part of the reason why I think I was just disappointed by it. Like, how do you introduce this whole mechanic based on like having no gravity, and Rainbow Road doesn't fully embrace that? Instead, we have ice cream doing the trick. What the heck is that, Nintendo? I never liked that Rainbow Road. That Rainbow Road. No.
I'm with you there.
Oh, we got Switch Stop in the chat. Hey, Switch Stop, how's it going? Asking, wait, wasn't Wildwoods all anti-gravity?
Wildwoods is majority anti-gravity for when you're like going up the tree, and like it starts in anti-grav, and it's one of the few courses that starts in anti-grav, but it doesn't continue all the way through.
Interesting. I have to say, Tress, that's an impressive recollection that you're able to drop at the drop of a hat. These 3 tracks are the only.
I play too much Mario Kart. I have like 20-something thousand points online. I play too much.
That's a lot. There's a lot of points. Switch Stop says, makes sense. Yeah. Brandon says Neo Bowser City also has anti-gravity.
It has. Does it have? I don't remember where it has. I think it's during like the curve section at the end, but
yeah, I don't
it's
think
not the entire course.
It's not all anti-gravity. Yeah, I know that because of the freaking slippery texture, slippery road that I hate as well. Shy Guy Timmy asks, will you stream the DLC when it releases? You better believe it. Yeah, we're going to be covering the heck out of it. If you saw our Wave 1 coverage, we'll be doing the same stuff here. We have live streams, discussions, secret videos, comparisons. We're going to be busy. It's going to be a busy day, so...
Except we might be a little more organized with it because we have better expectations how it'll work this time.
Yeah, that's true. Elicio says, all they say is bizarre Shy Guy. I think they mean Shy Guy Bizarre. But yes, that's another great track from 3DS that should be here. I imagine it will be here. I hope. But there's so many tracks. Like, there's so many good tracks in Mario Kart history that, you know, outside of like the SNES ones, I feel like you can make a case for that need to be here. So, Elicio says the best track. Yeah, Shy Guy Bizarre. I could see that. That's a fun one. Like, it just feels very. It just feels like it has a. I think even Retro or one of the developers like went into like an in-depth breakdown of how they made that track and how they ended up investing way more detail than even Nintendo wanted or something. I think so that's why it's so great. Like Retro just went, you know, balls to the wall with that, just went nuts and just made this really cool track. Yes, Chuglo.
That's why it's so good.
Delfino Square. I said that in one of our videos. I want Delfino Square. That is one of the best DS tracks, I think.
That would be such a good chorus. And yeah, we definitely talked about that one in our predictions, hopes, expectations. At this point, almost like a month ago.
Yeah, God, already. Lucas says, if we got Mushroom Gorge in Wave 2, will we get other Wii courses in other waves, like Toad's Factory DK? Oh my God, chat's going by so fast. Like Toad's Factory DK, Summit Koopa Cape, and Maple Tree Way.
I think Maple Tree Way and Koopa Cape, definitely, because they're in Tour, and they had some level of updates for Tour that I think, yes. DK Summit also is in Tour, so I guess it could. Toad's Factory isn't there yet, so maybe not. Maybe it would be great to get. It's so tricky with the Booster Course Pass because you just want every Mario Kart course. That would be the best way to do it, but you can't reasonably do that. That's too much.
Is it, Triss? Is it? If Smash Brothers can basically do it, why can't Mario Kart, Triss?
Oh man, Mario Kart's got to add some other characters first.
That's true. Actually, that's a good point. Everyone is not here in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. Tetra asks, battle courses when? You know what, it just occurred to me, for one, I don't think we're ever going to get more battle courses, but I never thought we'd get more DLC despite, well, at some point I never thought that would be the case. But that does remind me, I think they're just reusing the battle course elements for Mario Circuit 3 here, aren't they? Like,
they might be. I think they really updated what that looked like for the battle course, and I know some people have said the SNES Mario Circuit 3 doesn't look super hot to them, so it may not be using all of the assets from it now.
Lewis asks, or it says, this is the best day ever. I love that. That's how much hype there is for Wave 2 of the DLC. Clearly Nintendo's doing something right with this huge DLC expansion for Mario Kart. Calum asks a question you'll know, Triss. Has Delfino Square been remade for Tour?
Nope.
Okay. Yeah. So
I mean, maybe there's some level of data mined elements pointing towards it, but it has not appeared thus far.
Okay. I mean, the nice thing about this is, like, Tour is going to obviously get more tracks before the next wave of DLCs. That does open up the door for more possibilities in the near future.
And getting GBA Snowland proves we'll get, and I mean, we still don't have DS Shroom Ridge in Tour, and that was in Wave 1. Sure, these will probably come to Tour at some point, but it proves that beyond the brand new courses, there's going to be some courses that aren't in Tour yet that will be added to the Booster Course Pass, or could, not will. I can't guarantee that, obviously, but
I'm gonna hold you to that, Triss. You said will.
There's likely going to be courses that aren't in Tour yet, but are planned for Tour's future that will get added to the Booster Course Pass first. So.
Rel, or REL, says, we need DK Mountain, please. Yes, we talked about this already. 1000%. If I had to choose a favorite Mario Kart track, that might be it. That's a track and classic. My brain is just merging random words together now. That's Trassic. That's like, what's that word from Streets Ahead from Community? If you watch that ever, Triss, it's Streets Ahead. That's Trassic is Streets Ahead, everyone. But yeah, I think that clack. What am I doing? I can't even talk now. I'll be having a stroke from all this Mario Kart coverage. But I think it's a great track. I remember playing at E3 20 years ago when they showed off Double Dash. It's so fun. Shooting through the barrel, going downhill. It's great. You got the boulders. We need it. And the tiny bridge that screws over everyone in Mario Kart Wii and Double Dash. It was awesome. Christian says, so Daisy Cruiser can make it GameXplain. Oh, that's a shoo-in at this point. This isn't Tour.
And it's been like really nicely up. Yeah, it was just added to Tour, and it's like really nicely updated. I want that one, to be honest. That's one of my favorites in Double Dash, and I would love to see that get added here.
And Mike says, do you think Mushroom Bridge will be added?
I hope.
so
Mushroom Bridge
too.
or City. I really love those courses.
And especially because you can see the other course from the other course, Triss. They're like sister courses. I love that. One of the features only Double Dash did. So they bring one, they have to bring both if they want to stay true to it. Yeah, I'd be down for all the Double Dash tracks. I don't think there's a Double Dash track I don't like, but I'm also horribly biased in favor of anything Double Dash, so. And actually, to that point, Fezra Cool says Waluigi Stadium would go hard. Yes!
Ooh, that would be pretty fun.
Alright, let's see here. Triss,
I noticed.
Oh, go ahead.
I did notice in chat a little bit earlier. Mancolor said the Wave 2 DLC lines up with the data mined course prefixes, which means I would need to look at that. We could probably predict accurately what games are going to be represented through the rest of the DLC. The only one I know people were talking about and everyone hoping for Wave 2, they're all making the predictions. I know there's no more N64 courses in those prefixes. Which means...
In all the DLC?
And there was only 2 in Wave 1 and Wave 2. And there's no more N64
What about my
those.
DK Jungle Parkway? Come on!
Or...
Banshee
Wario
Boardwalk.
Race or Wario Stadium.
Wario Stadium.
Never come back.
I need my hour and a half long race. Okay, I don't get it. Oh man, that's a bummer. Oh, that's disappointing. I mean, that's the thing. Like, there's so many tracks in Mario Kart history. Like, do I want another 64 one at the expense of Double Dash down the line? Probably not. So that's where it gets tricky. Oh, how dare you, Potato Man, saying Parkway is a bad track. They can make it a great track. It's already a great track. They make it a greater track in this. So. Tetra says, "Oh, I'm miffed."
I'm sure we'll do a video on that shortly after this, just making it known so everyone can set their expectations and predictions for Wave 3 onwards and check. Since if this lines up with it, it's likely gonna stick to that then. Team
Sora says, imagine GameCube Wario Coliseum in anti-gravity. Oh my god.
Please?
That's how you update that track. You can even bank those corners even harder, right? Like, you're just veering around. Oh, that'd be amazing.
Yeah.
So
that's like a perfect course for that.
Well, I think we're about winding down here, but Triss, do you have any other thoughts about the Wave 2 DLC from what we've seen that we haven't been able to cover yet?
I'm just really excited that we're getting them, and I can't say I expected the day before Xenoblade Chronicles 3 to be when they dropped the news.
Go figure!
Honestly, I kind of thought the day it's releasing was gonna be the day it gets announced. So I thought next Thursday would be when we see it, but nope, next Thursday is when we're getting it.
Yeah, so a little under, basically a week away, which is exciting. In a week, we'll have brand new Mario Kart content. The only thing that's kind of sucks, Triss, is I talked about this on my own Mario Kart streams, is the more DLC they add, the rarer those new courses will be. So Wave 8, what are the odds of getting one of those tracks in each round? Not that high, which is kind of funny. So unless they artificially tweak it behind the scenes to make them a little bit more frequent, but.
Sometimes it feels that way.
Sometimes
there's times where you're playing online and some courses will appear so frequently compared to others, but only during set times. There definitely must be some sort of rotation system behind the scenes.
Mancolor, again, apologies for butchering it potentially, says next wave will have 2 Tour City tracks, 1 Tour Nitro, 2 3DS, 1 GameCube, 1 GBA, and 1 DS. Alright, so that's a GameCube track. That could be DK.
Yeah, it could be. Or it could be Daisy Cruiser right out the door.
Yeah, I'm down with anything. JY Jackie says, what circuit do you guys personally don't want to see next waves? Please answer. Thank you. Okay, SNES choices would be an easy one, so we're not going to allow SNES. So what track do you not want to see here, Triss, if you had to choose?
Oh, man. Now that we have Snowland, we said SNES off the table. I kind of don't want. I mentioned DSDK Pass. I don't want that one now, because it's gonna be it's not that similar, but it's I don't want too many similar themed courses. I want them to have like a nice, good variety.
Yeah.
And if we go like I know Wave 3 will probably come out around the holidays, so you got to have something snowy. And I'm sure it's probably going to be Tor Merry Mountain, to be honest. But I don't want another snow course on top of that added with it. It is getting really bright through my window. I'm like, I don't want another one on top of that because I feel like they're gonna start to feel kind of muddled together on top of the ones that are already in 8, like Mount Warrior.
Right. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, you don't want them to feel too similar to each other, which is another great argument for getting Toad's Factory in here. There aren't any other factories represented, from my memory, in Mario Kart. Myself, I mean, I guess I really don't want them to do any more of the basic tracks. So, we already had Toad Circuit, stop it with the first tracks of Mario Kart. Those are generally, in my opinion, some of the weakest ones, which means I don't want to see Luigi's Circuit 64, which we probably won't, based on the fact that we're apparently not getting any more 64 ones, if that is accurate. However, I would say I don't hate, of course, the Double Dash Luigi Circuit, because that also does something that was entirely unique, that touched upon, that was entirely unique up until recently, where it actually you actually go opposite the other racers, and that happens multiple times throughout the race, not just once. So I would love if they brought that one back, because that would be really fun. That could make some of the items a little bit more useful, like having having the bombs, for instance, being able to access players no matter where they are in the race. So.
Yeah, that's true. It's a danger if you're in last or first.
I mean, Blue Shells even. A Blue Shell can have first and 8th place person at the same time, and that'd be amazing. I want to live in that world. That's a chaos. That's the level of chaos I want.
I'm definitely with you, though, on a lot of like those starting courses. Like, at this point, first 2 waves are kind of a fine time to add those.
Yeah. Anything
after that, you start to question why. So, sure, GC and Luigi Circuit would be a lot of fun, but I think a lot of the starting course, the very first course, Figure 8 Circuit, we already have Toad Circuit, most of the Luigi Circuits at that point, a lot of them probably I wouldn't really want, because I want to see them pick a larger variety of more interesting courses as we get further into this.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think I will say, like, Mario Kart Wii in particular, I feel like they really kind of lean into those highly, like, thematic courses where we didn't see a whole lot of things of that nature up to that point. Whereas Double Dash is a little bit more generic, I'll fully admit, even though I do really like the track designs. Laser, and kind of to that point a little bit, Laser Chicken says, Snowland came out of nowhere, to be honest. Yeah, I think it did. I didn't remember that track. I barely remembered Snowland, so...
I barely remember GBA outside of the ones they bring back.
Yeah.
But they've been bringing back, like, the best courses, so it's fair.
And
Snowland's first one, I'm like, okay.
And the way they've been updating most of those GBA tracks, like Ribbon Road, is it? Like, fantastic. They've been doing a great job. Like, they've been going all out with those, which I love. Which is why, again, freaking Mario Circuit 3 is such a letdown, because it looks so lame. Like, it doesn't even look like a fun place in the Mushroom Kingdom. It just looks like they literally took the Mode 7 graphics, made it 3D, and that's it. And that's super lame. So, Battledroid says, what other snow levels would you like? God, I would like the is it DK Pass to Mario Kart Wii? I think that's a fun one.
That one's I think that one's DK Summit.
DK Summit. Okay, thanks. Yeah, DK Pass to the DS one, right?
Yep.
So I'm trying to think of other snow ones. Frappe Snowland could go to hell.
Well, that's also N64, and
that's right. So it is basically. Yep, it's already gone. Just looking for any final chat questions. Oh, Julian says Rosalina Ice World is good too. That's up your alley, Tris, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Rosalina Ice World would actually be a pretty good one. That's a fun course in general too, because there's the upper and lower path, and then the 2 different branching paths. Like, that's actually a pretty fun course that would look great in 8, honestly.
It would, actually. Archer's got my back. Screw Frappe Snowland. Yes, exactly. That track sucks. Yuvim asks, which track do you think is underrated that you want to be in the DLC? Ooh, that's a tough one.
That is a really tough one.
Oh, man. I honestly don't even know, like, what would be underrated. I guess just tracks I don't hear about. I'm trying to I mean, yeah, I'd have to think about that. That's a good question. I don't know.
That's really tough, because it's when you have most people in that case would default to a favorite course, but so many favorite courses are then iconic and not so underrated.
You know,
like,
go ahead.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, I wouldn't say I necessarily need it, but if I had to, for example, if I had to pick between Peach Beach or Daisy Cruiser, I would actually pick, as much as I love Daisy Cruiser, I would pick Peach Beach because I want the Cataquack.
The Cataquacks are
back
amazing.
in something.
Those are fun. Especially like with the risk versus reward of like going across the water too. It's all great stuff. I think Henry mentioned in relation to underrated tracks, I believe, both Woohoo tracks they want by the end of the DLC. And I feel like those are a little underrated, so I could see that.
Those would be really nice. Nope, I made the light worse.
I think we're almost done here, so don't worry too much about it. Brandon asks, what's the next Tour City track you want to see? Triss, as the Mario Kart Tour master here, what is...
Let me look at what the next cup is, because I remember people initially with Wave 1, they were like, oh, the Lucky Cat Cup had the Tokyo course, maybe they're going to be themed. So many people were thinking, oh, the Turnip Cup with this wave, oh, that's going to add Amsterdam. No, that's New York. So it's not going to be themed anymore. And the next ones are, for Wave 3, are the Rock Cup and the Moon Cup.
Okay.
And I'm addressing this specifically because they're saying next. I don't think they would theme it thematically because nothing this wave seems to really be themed thematically to turnips or propellers. So thinking to my favorite city course, then that's Vancouver Velocity, because I love how that course looks. And I think the bridge section is a great candidate to be turned into anti-grav. I think the music on that course is really nice. And they could do a lot there to make it pretty hectic, actually. Because there's a lot of, like, tight sections there.
I think, you know who I think would agree with that, Triss?
Tom.
Yeah, Tom, who's here right now, actually in my house, helping us cover the DLC. So I think Tom would agree with Vancouver Velocity, being from Vancouver. Yeah, that'd be fun. I think that's one I haven't really tried myself, so I'm really excited. Like, it's weird for me to say I'm excited for these tour tracks, but they've done such a great job of updating them. So I think it will be fun to see exactly how they play in the new one, especially with 3 laps, which I feel like 2 laps just doesn't quite feel right. So yeah, I'm excited to see, based on Wave 1, how those will be updated if they get added to the game, which I assume they will, but you never fully know. Nintendo Lover Girl said Shy Guy Beach. That'd be a good one for an update, I think.
Ooh, yeah.
I'd be down for that. And then we also had a chat here from Daybreak King that says Waluigi Pinball is back. And that's a great comment, just because that deserves to be said over and over. Waluigi Pinball is back. Yes, it's been too long. I mean, and by that I mean, as you said, it's never been in a mainline console game since the original, so it's long overdue.
Finally.
And that's going to be a chaotic track online. Oh my god.
Oh yeah.
With 12 people.
It's going to be picked online a lot. That's going to be like the new Coconut Mall and others, where anytime it's there, the whole room picks it. You know it.
I know. Totally. All right, Triss, I knew I asked before. One more time. Any final thoughts at all before we wrap it up?
I'm just glad that across the board, it is mostly positive reception.
Yeah.
This time around.
I mean, I think it helps.
It makes it more exciting.
Yeah, it does. I mean, I think it helps, for one, like you can't keep getting angry with the same stuff again and again, right? I mean, some people can, I'm sure, and do. But in this case, like, everyone got their anger out on Wave 1, and now we knew what to expect, and it helped set a baseline, and the fact that the selection here seems to be, by and large, a really good one, I think is, yeah, exciting people. And now the people, I think also, too, realize that they're playing Wave 1, it's like, you know what? These tracks are pretty fun, even if they may not look quite as good as the main tracks in the game. It's still really fun, adds a lot to the game. So yeah, that's awesome to see. It's good to see positivity around Mario Kart again. We got $2 super chat from the Vidiots. Thank you so much. Who asks, Dino Jungle in the future, please? Yes, yes, yes. I mean, I want
that would be great.
All the Double Dash tracks here. So I know we're not getting them all, but I want all of them here. I'll take any of them. So I'm right there with you, the Vidiots. So thank you for the super chat, especially the Double Dash encouragement. But with that, everyone, I think we will wrap it up here. Otherwise, we could be here literally all freaking day talking about Mario Kart. Tristan and I we'd do it.
We would.
We'd sit here all day with all of you just talking Mario Kart. But I'm sure we'll be back soon, especially once the DLC actually hits next week, to discuss our in-depth thoughts on it, so stay tuned for that. Otherwise, thank you for watching, everyone. Stay tuned again for all that coverage coming up, and everything else we have in the cards, including more Xenoblade 3 Chronicles content. Xenoblade Chronicles 3 content, rather.
Yes.
Lots coming up. It should be fun. Should be a good time. Otherwise, let us know if you want to see more live discussions like this, and hope you have a great hope you have a great weekend with it being nearly here. So everyone, have a good rest of your day. We'll catch you later. Bye, everyone.